Hi, I'm Lindsay.
Hi, I'm Christy, and we work with Globe International.
Working with missionaries, we hear stories of the struggles, the humor, God's goodness, and a little side of crazy.
Hey, that's who we are.
This is Crazy Missionary Stories. Hello and welcome back to Crazy Missionary Stories. Today we are interviewing Denis and Elsa Kopliku, who have been serving in Albania for 10 years. You can correct me on your last name if you want. So will you guys tell us what you're currently doing on the mission field in Albania?
Well, thank you first of all for the invitation. We appreciate it very much that it's a time that we focus to speak about missions. And we are in full-time ministry since 10 years in Albania, and many people might not have heard where Albania is, but it's a very small, tiny country in the Eastern European part, so in border with Montenegro and Greece and Italy. So what we do there is all types of ministry, starting from church planting, youth ministry, children ministry, and prison ministry, helping gypsies. We have a community there, so women ministry. Yeah, we want everyone to hear about the precious gospel of Jesus.
So will you guys tell us a little bit about how you got into missions, both of you?
Përshëndetje, falni për anglishtën, nuk e di mirë, po unë do flas shqip.
Hello everyone, I'm sorry that I cannot speak well English. I can speak my mother language Albanian and
Jam rritë në një qytet tjetër, jo në Shkodër ku jetojmë tani. Mirdita.
we are serving in Shkodra in the northern part of Albania, but I'm born in Mirdita, born and raised. It's a city in Albania.
Ne jena rritë në një vend komunist edhe fëmijëria ime ishte pas një lloj informacioni për besimin.
Because of the history of Albania with communism, I was raised up with no information at all about religion or about God.
Familja, prindërit, po dhe kushërit ishin me statuse, ishin lidera.
And my extended family, because of their involvement in the communist, it was not a topic, a discussion about God or about religion at home. It was never a topic.
Momenti I parë që kisha një pyetje për Zotin, I drejtohem babit, edhe I them si Zoti na krijon ne e kështu gjanash dhe kujtoj akoma ndjej faqen si miza që mora një shpull shumë të fortë edhe tha ne nuk duhet flasim për këto gjana, mos fol me njëri tjetër edhe mos tani gjoj edhe thjesht jam fshet diku në shtëpi edhe kam qajt shumë.
And I was starting to have curiosity about God when I was young and little. And I would ask my father about God, how are we created? And I remember that was the first time that I was asking, and the first time that I did receive a slap on my face because it was putting, you don't ask these questions in our family, or you don't,
Atëherë nuk e kam kuptu, po sot e kuptoj që ai e ka bërë për mbrojtje, që
I didn't
tjerët mos me di që
understand.
familja jonë bëjnë gjëna rreth Zotit.
I didn't understand his reaction, but later on I could see, because it was dangerous in communism to ask or talk about God for people. And he was afraid that I would ask maybe other people, like teachers or other people, about that.
Kur shifsha krijimin, edhe është një vend shumë I bukur, atje kena një natyrë shumë të bukur, gjithmonë fantazosha, imagjinosha Zotin.
We have a beautiful nature back home, and where I was raised there are also a lot of mountains there, and the creation I was just admiring and thinking about who did this all.
Zona jonë është një zonë ku njerëzit internohen, është një zonë e thellë malore.
I was born and raised there was a persecution camp there with mines that people would come to work there for all their lives. People who
Nga ana tjetër kishin privilegjin sepse elita e Shqipërisë, gjithë ata intelektualët e mëdhej vinin dhe internoshin te ne, por na jepnin mësim. Dhe kishim mësues më të mirë të mundshëm të Shqipërisë.
So in a way it was a difficult place to be raised up. Because it was hard-working people on the mines. It was a city of mine. But on the other hand, they were very high-ranking intellectuals who opposed the system, the Communist Party, and they were put in this persecuted lifestyle in the mountains.
Motra Mallë nuk jeton më, por ajo ishte personi I parë që thotë ekziston Bibla në vitin 1991.
And when we opened up
Fishisha kurioze.
and communism regime changed and Albania became open, my older sister was like a model, like a role model for me. And she was starting university back then, and I heard her saying that God is the creator and there is a religious book called Bible. So, and it took my attention.
Edhe në 93-shin kemi dalë si fëmijë kurioz një helikopter që vinte shumë afër shtëpive dhe na hillte pako me rroba dhe një Bibël në fund.
So
Që vishin nga jashtë, nga Amerika dhe në të
we
ndryshme.
were, as I could remember as a teenager, maybe this was 1993, 1994, that they would come with helicopters in the Alps, in the areas, and they would put like boxes of clothing with Bibles and in the end of the box. So
Ishte Bibla parë që mora dhe kam dhe sot nuk disha ndryshimet mes katolikëve të krishterëve ungjillor. Mendosha që kjo është e gjithë Bibla.
I never
Edhe
had
vetëm kam lexu.
I never had an idea of the differences on Christians groups, but I thought, wow, this is a good book, so I started reading it, and I have these Bibles also nowadays.
So, can I ask a quick question? How did you get the Bible then? There were helicopters, they were dropping?
Yeah, boxes of, they were distributing in, usually they would come either in a si o shpërndanin dhuratat të Biblat.
Më vonë kam kuptu dhe kam njoft këtë shërbes.
ai kanë hënë në avion aty janë nalë aty.
Në disa vende tjera janë nalë dhe kanë bërë takime shumë të mira dhe quhen Heli Mission. Por tek ne vetëm ka qenë kalim se shumë zonë e vështirë edhe vetëm I kanë hell.
Okay. In some areas, they would stop and have a church meeting in a school garden and invite people there and distribute there. I heard this later, the explanation. I didn't know what was that about. But at the beginning, like how they did it with us was more throwing with the boxes. And from the helicopter, yeah. Boxes of wherever they saw houses, because it was very wide and spreaded area. Wherever they would see a house, they would drop a box.
So, were the Bibles hidden in the clothes, or was it just clothes and Bibles that they were distributing?
Ishin të myllëna, të mshehuna, apo ishte e hapën koha?
Jo, bashkë.
So
Kishte fillu mu hap regjimi.
Albania has just opened
Vitet e
up,
para.
so and people prayed for a long time for Albania to open up, because during communism it was not possible to get in or out, and every kind of religious activity was banned. So, and when Albania opened up with the rest of Eastern European countries, ex-communist countries, so that's when many missionaries came and mission organizations. So it happened that one of these mission organizations, they visited the region where Elsa is born and raised.
Në vitin 2001 kam marrë në Shkodër me studime për infirmieri dhe ditën e parë që kam qenë në konvikt, me që ishe nga një vend tjetër, kam taku një besimtare të institutit jetare.
And my story continues with this Bible, because I was reading and writing notes in there, and with many questions. And then I came to university in 2001, and at the dormitory there we had a Christian organization, Campus Crusade, who knocked in the dormitory room, and it was her name was Lida, so this young girl was there for me to answer all my questions that I had on my Bible. And after a long meeting we prayed together, and I was very much involved with Campus Crusade meetings.
Kujtoj momentin kur më tha që Zoti është personal, për më ishte gjëja më e madhe që mësova, sepse në fantazinë time që kisha pas në shumë vite ishte që Zoti është, po vetëm në emergjenca mund të shikoj ato njerëzit që kanë shumë probleme, po individet jo.
Yeah, because of isolation, we didn't have an understanding of religion or of God, a true understanding. And for me to hear that there is a personal God that hears you and wants to relate to you, this is something that totally transformed my understanding of God.
Edhe s'jam mendu hiç, kam qenë shumë gati që në atë moment çdo natë aty kishim takime lutje dhe në çdo takim edhe në kish kam shku direkt dielën e parë dhe s'jam ndasur.
So I prayed immediately that night, but God has prepared my heart previously, before that meeting, with lots of searching and reading, and it felt like I was so ready that I didn't stop every prayer meeting that we had. We usually would pray at campus every night for an hour together with other students. And
Mezi prisja me marru studimet, shpeshherë i thosha drejtueses time Lidës që a bën mi shërby Zotit pa marru shkollën, a mune me ndalu. Nuk prisja, e tha jo, shkollën do mbarosh, edhe kam shërby më vonë 4 vite me kod plot, dhe ka qenë një rizgjim në atë kohë.
I was very honored to be part of a revival because people were so hungry students for God back then, and because of the hunger that I saw in all our generation, I would like ask my leader who was discipling me, I would ask, can I stop my studies and continue to serve God and serve mission? But she says, no, first you finish your studies, and then you can do that. So I was able to finish my nursing studies, and then for 4 years I would join in and work for the mission organization.
To ishin vitet që më kanë mbush zemrën plot, sepse në prezencën e jetës tonë ata jetonin pa orar, pa limit, misionar, shumë kena pas nga Amerika, nga gjitha vendet e botës.
And these years, they really filled up my life with meaning, because meeting so many people from different countries, not just US, but missionaries who would come and train us and pray for us and minister
Nuk
to us.
shërbenin vetëm me orarin që kishin, po ishin gjatë gjithë kohës, na ftonin në shtëpi, u kujdesishin për shnetin, për rrobat, për çdo detaj të jetesës tonë.
And it was kind of like a family, because they were caring not just on a spiritual side, but all, we were learned many things from these missionaries, and we were raised, let's say, with them together.
Na merrin në shtëpi shumë shpesh, kalonim kohë.
We would have often meeting time with their families,
Jena rrit me fëmijët e tyne.
with their children.
Edhe për mua ishte gjithmonë që si kanë ikë, si kanë lënë vendet e tyne që për ne janë ëndër.
Yeah, sometimes I would
Really.
ask when we would see these missionaries, how did they leave their country and come to serve here in a poor country? For us it's a dream to go to their country, but they leave their country and come here in our country.
Kemi pas shumë projekte edhe jashtë Shqipërisë që kena shku në Turqi, Maqedoni, Kosovë.
And we had many projects as students, but also after we finished studies with
Kam
them.
njoh Denisin,
And then we met together.
edhe pastaj ka qenë shumë e lehtë, edhe kam qenë shumë e vendosur që rruga ime është vetëm i shërby Zotit.
But from the very beginning, it was very, very clear to me that all my life it's in God's service.
Edhe kur
And on
sheh
people's
në
service.
mallshtinë e vet që Krishti ka bërë për ne, po kur sheh edhe detajet në jetën tonë edhe mënyrën specifike që ka kujdes për vendin tonë është e pamundur ti thosh jo një.
Yeah, and we have had as a country and as people lots of trials, and we can clearly say that we exist as a country and as people only by God's grace, because we would have easily been disappeared.
Edhe kjo gjë e rrëmbej zemrën time dhe jam në drejtimin e Zotit dhe jam shumë e gëzuar që shërbej me gratë në Shqipëri. Ne shërbejmë në një komunitet musliman, por kur ata na njohin, kuptojnë që jemi vërtet për ta, na respektojnë, na duan, na hapin dyert edhe fëmijët e tyre I kemi plot kishën.
Yeah, majority of Albanians are Muslims, and for us it's an honor to serve to our people and, let's say, to create this environment of trust with people and of care for people. So once they can see and feel that this is a real care and a real thing, then they can easily give their children to come to the church, and they can come themselves to the church, and this is how we try to stay connected with people.
Jam informier për bebat edhe të puna ku jam, gjitha kolegët I kam muslimane dhe kam një marrëdhënie shumë të mirë me ta.
An example, for example, my profession as a nurse has connected me with lots of ladies, but even that they are different religions, Muslim background, it's very easy and very good connection and very good speaking to them.
Dhe jo vetëm që vinë në kish, por ndihmojnë shumë për gjitha komunitetet.
So they visit the church, they come regular in the church, but they also help every time we ask help for a project or something. Yeah.
That's amazing. I love hearing your story. I just think how it's so beautiful how God put that little spark in you to look around at the nature and say, who did this? That's amazing for a little child to question that. I love that. Thank you for sharing your story. Could we hear a little bit from you, Denis, about how you got into missions?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, my first, let's say, hearing about God and about religion was when Albania was opened in 1991. They would put in TV these religious celebrations. And that was the first for me to see my grandmother. She was very old, but she was remembering what was before communism, this religious gathering. And I would see her crying just to see that in the TV, and that touched my heart in a way. So, but being raised in a Muslim family, I would have to explain this because Albania used to be a very Christian country. It's even mentioned in the Bible that Paul preached in Lyricum, and that's the old name in the old days, and now it's called Albania. But we were in the process of Islamization because we were occupied from Turkey, from Ottoman Empire, and that added up on also the communism, which has created, let's say, a Muslim majority country, but with not a conscience for God, because everything was removed. And when I say communism, was very isolated, very much closed. So this means that any church activity or other religious activity was banned, was closed, was not possible to happen. So that's why seeing the reaction of my grandmother was kind of a strange and a new thing for us all when we opened up in 1991 with the rest of Eastern European countries. And then we suffered these wars of former Yugoslavia, in Bosnia, in Kosovo, Croatia. So this was, to us, was interpreted as a religious war also, because there were thousands of Muslims being killed in Sarajevo, and then later there were massacres that happened in Kosovo. And so I was raised with the idea that they don't love us. So the Christian, I mean the Orthodox. This was Christians that we knew in our country, Orthodox Christians. They were not much Catholics or evangelicals born again. This was not. And then, to my surprise, I went often to my father's job place in the sports hall. They stopped the sports because the sports hall was full of refugees from Kosovo. And that was first time for me to see Christians, first time for me to see Christians helping Muslims. These people were devastated they would have walked for days and for weeks and then very tired, and the first people that were waiting for them with water or with warm soup were the Christians helping. So I didn't know what these groups were, but I really wanted to join in and help. So I helped for 6 months. Wow. They invited me to a church camp, and that's how I get connected, and that's how I was very moved from the friendship and from the lifestyle in that community. It became very deep to me, and I started reading the Bible and understanding more about Jesus forgiving us and about He is the only way in heaven, and we can only have a relationship because of Jesus' sacrifice for myself and for other people. So yeah, this was back 2001. And this good news I wanted to share with everyone. So it was similar like with Elsa. I felt like, okay, what's the meaning of having a profession and doing a university degree and all this? So yeah, and so this was like a calling, but a hidden. It stayed there for many, many years. I finished a Bible school, served in many church projects like camping, mission, the Jesus movie, and it was only 2014 that I was really praying, Lord, I need to see some deeper change in our people that surround us. And I had a very good job back then. I did finish studying management. So I was doing project management for international organizations like World Vision, all sort of projects in child labor, child abuse, and human trafficking. But I was praying, Lord, policies are not enough. People's hearts needs to change. There is a vacuum. There is a sickness in people's conscience, in people's hearts that only Jesus can heal. And I remember that I was turning home. We were that summer outside of Albania, and as we were turning home and praying and worshiping in the car, I just felt very strong again, like God was blowing the calling that I had many years ago. And I felt like I need to make a step on this and get more involved in mission work. And so I texted that day to my boss and saying that I will, and then on the next month I'm planning to transition out of my job and start to serve God. And so that was not an easy transition, but was worth it. I can say it was worth doing that.
When you transitioned, then you transitioned to being a pastor, or what did you do?
The story starts like this. Our son was born that winter, and we had I have already stepped back from the job, and we invited everyone in the community for a let's say birthday. Our son is born, so we had a party at home, and baby shower. Around 25 people showed up, and we said to that meeting, that was end of December, nearly New Year, that we are starting a Bible study next month. If anyone is interested in the next weeks, because it was holidays in our family, in our house, anyone who likes to join in, it's more than welcome. And we had people showing up. So that's for me was the first step, a Bible house group of 10 people. And 2-3 years later, we could rent an office because we had young people who wanted to join in, students, and a youth group was created after that. And then a year later, we needed a worship room. We already started to baptize people and wanted to start a Sunday service. So and the students and these families, we invited them, come and join in an Emmanuel community. That's our church, it's called. And so God added year by year one new thing. And after COVID, a friend of mine, a pastor, called me. A prison was just opened in our city. So he called all 5-6 other pastors that we are in the city. If anyone is interested, I'd like to do a visit today. Would someone like to come? And I replied, we had a lot of free time. And I replied, yes, please sign me up. I want to come. And now it's like 3-4 years that I go every week, twice a week there. And we have been really seeing God transforming people's lives.
So could you share with us a little bit more detail about your prison ministry? What do you do when you go in? How do you reach the men? Is it a men's prison or?
It's a men's prison.
Okay. How do you reach them when you go?
For me, the first impression, we are a very small church, and we share this with the church if anyone is interested. And it's a little bit scary to be real. It's a little bit scary. It's a high security prison with nearly 1,000 inmates there. So, and first time that I went there, I could feel the sadness and the desperation, and I could feel in my skin, And just being around there with people, it would make me really feel the tiredness and the heaviness and the burdens that these people have. And I remember very well the first meetings. I felt like I was stepping down to hell. Literally, this is what the picture that I had. I was going down. I could not feel hot or warm there, but I could feel the tiredness and the burdens there. And then we would share very, very simple, when Jesus did the presentation to himself in Luke 4:18, I am the Messiah, and I came to bring a good news and to set the captives free and to heal the sick. And this verse became a motto week after week for me, sharing with these men, big men, 2 meters. I'm not big, but they are very big. So, and I would share very simple, you know, we are all human, we all suffer. I don't have your sufferings here. You are missing your families, your children, your friends. I have my own burdens, my own sufferings, but there is a good news. There is Jesus who came to take all the sin of the world, and he didn't promise that we'll have a life without suffering. But of course, we can start a relationship with Jesus, and the suffering will start to make sense. It will start to have a meaning. It will start to explain itself. So, for me, reading this verse, they were at the beginning like 10, 15 people, and then it would show up like 60, 70 people on a regular basis. So I would go every Wednesday for evangelism together with another pastor. So we would meet inmates in the air area where they play football and speak to them and do a presentation that we are a pastoral care. We do weekly meetings here if they want to join. We would take them to a class to study Book of Mark, and with videos and with questions. It's more exploring. So just read a parable together and see a video and then ask 2 or 3 questions. Very simple. I would tell them, I'm not here to teach you. We are in a discussion group. So just tell me, what do you think? Even if you are against God, even if you are an atheist, even if you are angry to God, just tell me what you think. So we try to create a very open and trusting atmosphere. So once they would finish, to my surprise, everyone who was part of the Bible class would at the end ask, can I pray to this God? Can I pray to this Jesus that you are telling about? So it would take like 5-6 weeks for them before they would join the church meetings. And then we would invite them at the church meeting on Thursdays. And the church meeting, I mean, it's a regular church service, the same that we have it in Emmanuel Church on Sundays. We do it in the prison. It's like prisoners sharing a testimony, prisoners asking to take the communion, prisoners asking to do worship. So, and it's not just we don't see it as a social. We tell them it's not a social program. It's not a social service. We are a church here. And it was not only a surprise, the reaction of the inmates, but also the reaction of other staff there. So why do all these people love to come in these meetings? I mean, they don't sign up to go in other religious activities, but they are coming in your activities. And in other religious activities, 10, 15 people would show up. And sometimes we don't have even space because there are more than we could sit in. So, and when we go away and we speak with the staff there, they ask us, please don't interrupt this long, because that's when we start to have trouble. They get aggressive with each other. Or
Can I ask you, how many people are in the church right now, if you know?
You mean in prison or outside prison?
In the prison church.
I would say we have around 200 people who have signed up, and 70 to 80 are every week part of the service.
Can I say something out prison? Kur Denisi vendosi me shkollë, po më tregonte, për mu ishte si u ngritën shumë shqetësime mrena meje.
When Denise was sharing with me about going to prison, I started to worry a little bit.
Ishim një kishë re jashtë, edhe mendim të qenë që jena brenda në Shkodër, edhe shumicat burgosënve janë nga vendi, edhe është një vend i vogël, ne njihena me njëri tjetrin. Në kishë kena shumë shërbesën e adoleshentëve dhe të fëmijëve, dhe për mu ishte meraku mos ata do të bëhen agresiv, mos do kena probleme me kishën.
So at the beginning, she was feeling we are a small church, and all these people, they are from this region. Most of them, they live in that region. So will this create any problem, security problem with the families we have at church, with the youth or the children? So Elsa was facing all these questions.
Një program tjetër që kanë kapelant atje është që vizitojnë familjet, edhe më ka pyet Denisja, mund të vish të vizitojnë familjet? I kam thënë, po, si sha e vendosur, kam shku pa dëshirë herën e parë.
And part of the chaplaincy and pastoral care that we have for these prisoners, it's also visiting their families, their children, their wives. And I invited one time Elsa to come with us, and usually we are 2-3 pastors, and this time we go together.
Edhe kur kam vizitu familjet nga afër dhe kam pa motrat, vëllezërit, mamat, fëmijët e këtyne të burgosunve që edhe këta ishin të burgosun sepse paragjikohen shumë.
So what I saw on my visits was that these entire families are suffering the imprisonment because they are ashamed to go to school, they are ashamed to go, the ladies, to the market or to the workplace. So it's full of guilt and shame that it's on you find in these families.
Edhe për herë të parë në jetën time kam pa anën tjetër se ka gabu një person, nuk është kot atje ku është, por nga ana tjetër sa shumë vujnë familjet edhe të palës viktimat, por dhe familjet e personit që është dënu që nuk kanë asnjë faj.
So God was making me see the effect of the sin. So okay, someone sinned and it's already in the correction, taking the punishment about his sin, but now his entire family, who is also, let's say, having some suffering out of this sin.
Në sytë aty në adoleshenteve apo fëmijëve shikoshën një trishtim edhe ato përjetojnë një lloj ankthit edhe nalin shkollat nga turpi, nga presioni që kanë.
And because of the anxiety and the fear and the judgment that these families experience, they would stop the schools or the jobs that they have.
Zakonisht nuk ju jep një njeri, janë të shumë të paragjykuar, edhe nga ana e qeverisë, nuk ju jep njeri një punë, janë komplet harrum.
So these people are forgotten because it's hard for them to get a job once someone in the city hears that their husband is in prison.
Edhe gjatë rrugës kur jam kthy për në shtëpi, kam thënë, kjo është rrugë pa kthim. Edhe jam bashkuar me gjithë zemër mas tani me shërbim të familjes.
And as we were going home, we said this is a one-way ticket. You don't get back of what you are doing because we need to help these people out.
Për javë tona më shdosh me marrë veten, kam humbë në mendime për këta njerëz, kur I kam pa, nuk më besote që në vendin tim kena njerëz kaq të braktisur.
And I could not believe that we have so many people who live in a rejection and are just left it aside.
Vetëm se kanë një person burg.
Because some of their family members it's in prison. Not because they did something, but someone on their circle did something.
Edhe mungesa atyne, veni jonë është zhvillu, është bo shumë I bukur, vend zhvillim, por ka shumë pak punë.
Albania is getting very modern nowadays, very open to tourists, but still the lack of jobs.
Edhe kur familje si humb dhe personi kryesor, si që është babi ose vllai ose.
And when the family is losing the main income from the man who is providing for the family, that's also economical disaster usually for the family. That they usually end up in an extreme poverty.
Jemi një popull që kena shumë dëshirë me mësu, realisht nga mungesa e komunizmit, se në komunizëm nuk na linin me studiu kur ishin familjet me probleme politike. Edhe është një vend që vërtet njerëzit mësojnë shumë. Çdo familje ka dikën me universitet.
Because of the lack of knowledge and information that we had during communism, people could not study what they wanted or where they wanted. So when we opened up, people are still hungry to learn a language and to learn a profession.
Është gjë e parë që bën çdo familje.
So people have, this is a focus, a priority.
Por ajo që duhet të them është që nga një anë ti sheh një gjë shumë të bukur edhe njerëz shumë intelektual, nga ana tjetër është një skamje e madhe mas kësaj figure se ne jena popull që dukemi bukur.
So it's like a parallel world that you see the touristic, shiny, glassy, blue glasses and 5-star or nice apartments, hotels. On the other hand, it's an extreme poverty in many rural and outside city centers. And when you go
edhe ajo që më dhëmë zemër, është një grup I vogël, po thona në nivelin e korrupsionit apo aktiviteteve kriminale, që bën një keq prezantim të Shqipërisë që nuk është e vërtetë. Populli janë arsimdashës edhe shumë bujarë, shumë ikpritësa.
So yeah, sometimes they look like the majority are having these problems with corruption, but it's not true that the majority of people, they want to learn, they want to have a profession, they want to live an honest life, an honest job. But it's a lot in hospitality and generous. Even when they have nothing to give to you, they will be very friendly and very open.
Nëse një ditë do vizitoni një familje shqiptare, ju siguroj që do vënë tavolinën tonë, çdo ushqim, mbas ato ushqime hajnë gjatë gjithë një muajit, do t'japin më të mirën tavolinë për ty.
So sometimes the culture and the tradition here, when in Albania, when we have a guest, and you get surprised of the many good foods or drinks you get in the table, but that's not the normal that they have every day. They just want to honor the guest, and they just want to respect and be open and hospitable.
Shumica familjeve kalojnë muajin me atë advent tavolinë.
And sometimes it can be for weeks or for months that they will not be able to try those foods, but they will just put it to honor.
Shpeshherë kjo gjë nuk kuptohet dhe njerëzit mendojnë, në Shqipëri kanë shumë.
And sometimes this can be easily, for example, misunderstood because you see a full table and you think, oh, they have a lot. But no, that's not the daily what they have. That's just for you as a guest.
Jemi një vend që na kanë mungu miqt për shumë vite, shumë dekada.
Yeah, we have missed guests and friends for decades and we've been very close.
Për më është hera parë në Amerikë dhe jam mahnit sa mikpritje kam gjetë dhe jam vërtet e gëzuar.
And also we find here the same, let's say, culture. I am first time in USA and I'm really amazed from the openness and the optimistic and the generosity and the hospitality that we find with people here.
So we've heard a little bit about the prison ministry, and we know that you have the church. You're also, Elsa, you're doing women's ministry, and you all are working with the youth. What can you share with us just a little bit about those ministries as well?
Po se të ke dyshim nda diçka për shërbesin e grave ose të kisha çabani si zhvillohet. Mund vazhdosh ti dhe po të plotësoj.
Shërbesa e grave filloi në një mënyrë interesante se mamat vinin më kujdes për adoleshentët ku po shkojnë ishin kurioze me ditë sigurinë e tyne.
I will share a little bit about women ministry and I can add up also after Elsa finishes. And she's saying that sometimes we had parents bringing their youth and their children in the church just to get to know who are these people that my children are talking all the time. So.
Edhe sa ne kam thënë do të mblidhemi edhe jemi 20 gra aktive, edhe vizitore kemi më shumë se 60 gra. Edhe brenda shërbesës grave kemi 5 mësuese, edukatore, që kanë ngrit një shërbesë tyne më kujdes për familjet ekstrem nevojshme.
So, and this is how it started with a small group at the beginning with 5 and then with 20 and then with 60. Oh, wow. So, yes. So they are in the circle of the influence that when we have a special event, they will all like to join in. And now they even have created a community service group for clothes when they have little children and they want to donate some clothes for someone who doesn't have because their child are already it has grown up and are not fitting, so they can bring. And we have 5 teachers coordinating all this sort of and this didn't come from us. We didn't encourage it or we didn't start it. They started it. They just heard the families that we were visiting and they were saying, please, can we come with you? Or please, can we bring this? So we let it for them to do it.
Janë mësuesa dhe kanë kontakte me shumë njerëz që kanë dhe mundësinë me ndihmu njerëz të tjerë.
Some of these teachers, they work in schools and they can have easily contact with their staff, with their school colleagues or parents. And this is how it started, yeah.
Janë 3 gra që kujdesen për takimet më shumë edhe janë shumë ndihmë për mu. Janë Bona, Lavdi, Manuela.
There are 3 ladies now who are leading this initiative and we are very happy that besides the weekly base meetings, we can have also monthly initiatives. These initiatives with clothes are once a month and we are very happy that they can help it out. Yeah.
And just to confirm or reiterate, this is working in a Muslim
Yes.
area. So
Yes.
you're reaching out to Muslims when
Yes.
you're doing all of this.
Yes,
It's
all
just
of
incredible.
this. Yeah. Basically, it's the same message that we share, and it's the same message that we bring to the young people, to the student, and the message that I read on the prisoner ministry is what we share with the teenagers. You know, they have other, let's say, issues. You know, they want to find a career, they want to find a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and we say we are all in this journey of suffering. We all need God. We all need each other. And this is how we create, let's say, and we focus the ministry. So it's teenagers, it's children that they come in a weekly basis. The children are children that we have met in the Muslim community there, and they brought always a classmate, always a cousin or their brother, their sister. When we ask their parents to sign up, we give them the Bible lessons plan that we have for the whole semester or season. Every Saturday, the teachers will read a Bible story, and they will have to know what their children are learning and growing, and they accept it and they bring it their children to the church. So yeah, with the refugees we continue. We had a Afghani outreach project where we wanted to share the same message. You know, we all suffer. You have been removed from home when this happened 2-3 years ago, and with the revolution there, and they brought them just 25 minutes from our home, and we were there waiting for them and serving their needs every week. And a group was created there that we could meet, and they could help us to run activities. So.
Will you talk a little bit about, it was like an initiative, I think, that you started with that, right? You had a big, where you brought a lot of different groups together to work together. Will you share with us about that? I thought that was really neat. And how many Afghanis did you reach in the midst of that?
Yeah, this was, I think, was end of August 2022, when it was in the media and everywhere that U.S. was stepping back from Afghanistan, and the revolution had started there, and people's lives were in threat, and people who were high-ranked people in universities or government. And a pastor friend of mine that I met in the Samaritan Purse group, we have a network there with other pastors, other leaders, and they had this idea to go and pray. They were not there yet, but they would come. We went that afternoon in a van, 4 pastors just praying, and everyone was making ready the place. It was a hotel near the coastline. And that's, as we were praying in the garden of that hotel, we saw the first bus coming.
Wow.
And it just took 2 or 3 weeks to have bus after bus and jet plane after plane. I think by the end of September, there were more than 1,800 people there in the camp, 1,800. So they had to open another camp in another location with another 2,000 people nearly. And so these people had everything, let's say, economically, but they didn't know where their family was. They didn't know what their future would hold.
Yeah.
And they were in a psychological dark state. And so just being there praying every week, 2 or 3 times a week, and we wanted to connect with the men. So, and it was easy for us because they had organization leaders. So let's say FIFA team had 100 workers, refugees in the camp, and they had 2 or 3 leaders, and so had another university and we connected with this team, and we took volunteers from our church and from other churches in the city to have a football championship. So that was the first connection with the men, and getting to know nearly all the men that were in the camp.
Wow.
They would not all play. We had like 10 teams. They are playing against each other, but many of them were just there to look. They started to trust us that we don't have a backup, a second, a third, a fourth agenda. We are Christians. We are here to help you, and let us know any way we can help you. And the same like with the Kosovo, there were not other groups helping. The same in the testimony that I shared.
Yeah.
Christians were the first and the only one there. Many months later, other groups joined in, but when they came, we were the first one waiting there. And
Wow.
for a couple of months, we were the only one serving there. And then, and then what we would see is, as we were talking with the men, what are your needs? They would say, oh, our wives, our children, they need laundry, they need a place to wash their clothes. So we help them with the help of a church in Lancaster, and they sponsored, and we were able to have a laundry for them.
Wow.
And we were able to buy like a few washing machines they could. So day by day, they were more open and more trusting towards us. And they asked, what can you do about young people? We said, what are the needs? And they say they like to learn English. They are preparing to go in US. We see if we can find any English teacher. And we said, we cannot promise, but we will pray and we will see how things will develop. And we ask other churches to come in and help with English classes. We run music classes with the guitar because of the trauma that they had. We wanted them to experience some safe environment, some artistic. So, yeah, at the end of 2 months, they felt like family, and they even literally told us, we find a family here. We cannot believe people that we didn't know a month ago are like a family to us, that we can address any need. And Christmas was approaching. We said, how about having a Christmas celebration? And it was in a matter of, I would say, 3 weeks that we organized together with 10 other churches. We had to call also the Evangelical Alliance in Tirana to be supportive. We could organize for the whole camp a Christmas event. And these people would say, we even had the Imam of Kabul there, or the people from the government, the infrastructure. They would say, we have worked in universities, we have worked with religion, but we never heard. We thought Christmas is about the market. Christmas is about the gifts, and it's not about a person. It's not about this Jesus that has come to the world. And for me, the whole idea, hearing from them under one roof, having such a peaceful and such a possibility to experience God. People were crying. We would put the anthem of their own country, of their homeland, and it would remind them home. They were crying what they left behind. And then we would put some also Christian worship music there. And then someone would come to explain the meaning of Christmas. And the feedback was very positive. Every group that was there participating was writing an email and saying, thank you. We appreciated every part of it. We find a friend here and we are leaving back a family. You are like brothers and sisters for us, and we appreciate it. So the impact, we don't know what turned out, because they had to leave the country a few months later, and we don't know the long-term impact onto their hearts. But I'm sure that God works in people's hearts in ways that we cannot understand.
Yeah, so you had just a few months to be able to invest in these people's lives. Is that right? And you're saying you had 4 months and you had 1,800 people that were able to go and receive a Christmas gift, celebrate together, and hear the gospel message. And amongst them even was the imam. So for those who don't know much about Islam, that would be like the head of their church was there and listening to the gospel message. And they all seemed open to it.
Yeah, very positive and very open. And he even came with a gift for us.
They brought you a gift.
A picture, a scripture, and a thank you for all the care. And 813 people. I still have the lists, because we had organized with other churches about the shoe boxes and the gifts that we were sharing.
813?
813 people,
received the Samaritan's Purse gifts. That's incredible. And all of these people are now here in the United States.
Most of them are in the United States. They were taken in different countries like Germany, Sweden, Israel, I think. Yeah, they were very professional people.
Thank you for reaching out to them during that time. You know, intellectuals and people that are high up in what they're doing, whether it's in military or in the universities. Sometimes those are the hardest people to really receive the gospel message because we know that we know what we know. And this was an opportunity that they were listening because of their place of need. So thank you for reaching out. It's just really encouraging. I'm excited about all that you've done. I'm curious, Elsa, you are also a nurse, and a pediatric nurse. What kind of opportunity do you have through your nursing to be able to reach out to the Muslims there in the community? Do you have testimonies as well about reaching out through your just career?
Komuniteti është I gjithë musliman, por për gratë që janë me një mbulesë edhe për familjet që kanë një përkushtim apo që kanë një hoxh në shtëpi, është si ka ndryshime edhe mendja e muslimanëve atje, por është një pjesë e mirë e familjeve që nuk lejohesh të hysh në familjet e tyre.
So basically where we serve, it's a very close circle because some of these families, they come from a Muslim tradition and they would have someone getting involved in the Muslim religion, and sometimes you are not easily trusted or let into their circle.
Yeah. Por e kanë edhe si janë të besimit që nuk do shkosh, domethënë nuk të lejojnë. Edhe për mua ka qenë shumë e lehtë për një arsye se atje nuk është se sistemi është I korruptuar edhe ata nuk janë mësuar që zakonisht për të shkuar shërbimi në shtëpi.
Part of my job is visiting people's homes, and especially when young mothers are back from hospital with their baby, and we live in a system, it's sometimes not working well, and many nurses are not doing this, what you are supposed to do, but she's doing it, she's visiting
Edhe në
ladies.
këtë fazë tjetës tyne ato janë si të braktisuna dhe kur mu më shohin të dera janë të habitme, m'jep shumë mundësi mbi emri Denisit, sepse janë një familje e mirë në Shkodër edhe janë një familje muslimane.
It gives a surprise to the mothers because how someone is showing up, and when people are suffering, they are very vulnerable and they are very open and they need this care. And when I do a presentation, it gives me a favor also, the surname. It opens me door because it's a big family name into the city where we live.
Edhe kur ti thu mbi emrin, përshëndetje jam Elsa Kopliku, ato më herë, mirë se erdhe, hajde. Edhe kam kriju një marrëdhënie të mirë me to. Ato bebe unë tani kam adoleshenta në kishë edhe të takimi I fëmijëve.
So, and they welcome us, they become very good friends of later everywhere where we see each other, and they trust at the end me, and they ask me, we want our children to come into your church, can they come? And that's how all the connection, and now they have grown up. I remember their first day, but now some of them are teenagers and they are even serving at church.
Të puna kena një hall, edhe e kemi edhe pjesë të punës që një herë në muaj me bë një temë për komunitetin dhe unë mbledh gratë aty. Kemi bë shumë tema, jam tregu shumë drejt për drejt me ta. Ju kam tregu dëshminë si jam bë besimtare, çka ka ndodhur me jetën time dhe ato janë shumë të hapura dhe nuk kam pas problem që ato marrin kisha edhe vetë për rastet e veçanta, për takimet e mëdha ato kanë ardhur familjarisht.
When I cannot come to church, we will gather at the healthcare hall there, just tell them some advices about their baby, but also my testimony and a little bit encouragement for them to move forward. And sometimes keeping this connection, it will remind them when it's Christmas or when we have an evangelistic event, we can always share the invitation and they like to come and join in.
Temat që zhvilloj me to janë nga nevoja që ato më tregojnë, ju them kush është një nevojë momentit për ju dhe thirr shoqet mijat edhe vinë.
I always start from the need that they have, from the suffering that they are going through, and how we can fulfill this need. Maybe I don't know, but I can always invite a friend of mine, a nurse, a professor, a doctor who comes alongside and will share a little bit with them.
Believe it or not, we're coming up on our hour here. See, it went fast, right? So we would love to hear some crazy stories if you've got them, one or two, whatever you feel like sharing.
I would like to share one from the prison if I can.
Yes, please.
It was one of the first meetings that we were having a few years ago, and as I was reading the Bible, I heard someone standing up and saying, I want to interrupt you, hold on one moment. And I was scared, I was like stepping back, why do we have to stop it? It was really big. And the closest he was getting, I could see he was in tears. And he says, I just want to hug you, my family is not visiting me. No one from my family, you are visiting me. I have lost my daughter, and my heart and my brain has been really dry. But now you are watering. What you are reading here, it's watering my heart and my brain. And even at the end of the meeting, he says, I can only sleep when I come to church. So please don't stop the meetings, he says. Please don't stop it. And this put a lot of responsibility on us to continue to pray, to continue to see, and to invite people to join us when they can to help. Share the gospel with these people.
It's incredible.
So,
Janë shumë që Zoti ka bën jetën tonë, por një që nuk më hiqet nga mendja fillon me babin.
Many stories. One that I cannot take out of my mind is with my father.
Ai është një burr me shumë korrekt me jetën e tij, edhe gjithë jetën është ai personi që jashtë një gjuhë fjala, ka dhënë mendime të rëndësishme.
He was key in community, communist leader party, and his word was always heard and very authoritative.
Edhe zakonisht unë vetëm e shikoja në sy, kuptosha gjendjen e tij dhe ishte shumë vështirë me fol. Asnjëherë më përpara nuk e kam përqafu.
So this created lots of distance, and I would never let's say, easily hug him or,
Para 12 vitesh ai ishte shumë i smur, sepse ka punuar në minier.
12 years ago, he was really sick, where doctor said, please take him home 5-6 days. He cannot live anymore.
Edhe është më mirë të vdesin me ju në shtëpi sepse pulmonet e tij nuk punojnë më fare dhe zemra.
His lungs are not working anymore. It has disappeared from the...
Ai që 40 vjeç gjithmonë ka qenë i shtruar në spital çdo vit. Tani është 75.
Now he's 72 years, and his history with hospital starts when he was 40.
Edhe kur doktori tha vetëm 4 ditë për mua ishte si... Edhe vetëm kam thënë baba mund t'i kap durët e tuja, më ka bë me kokë që po, dhe unë me shumë orë gjata.
12 years ago, he was in a very hard condition, and he could not speak because he had the oxygen mask. And I said, Father, I want to pray for you. Elsa holds his hands, and I want to share a few things before I pray for you. And if you agree, please give a sign with your hands.
Edhe kam vazhdu në një lutje në një mënyrë ungjillizimi, vetëm po I tregosha çka ka ndodhur me detaje me jetën time dhe çka Zoti bën për ty,
I told
Krishti bën për
him,
jetën tonë.
praying, maybe you feel sometimes you are praying, but also you want to share something. That's how I felt as I was praying. I was sharing the gospel.
Edhe nëse ti kemi adërzu jetën edhe gjonat e tuja Krishtit, ai jo vetëm ka me të kuptu, po ka me të shëru, ka me të
I
shpëtu.
told him that if you give your life to Christ, he will only understand, but he will heal you, he will forgive you, he will change
Ishte një
everything.
bisedë shumë e gjatë, por gjatë gjithë kohës ai po më shtrëngote, më dukte si për mi kput durt.
So he would give a sign, he is listening all the time.
E gjithë familja ishte mas xhamave të qajt, faktikisht, nuk kuptoshin veç mbashin çaj të bë.
The rest of the family, they thought it's the last moment, and he will be, they were behind the glass, and they didn't understand if this was too much for him and for Elsa.
Drejt përfundimit lutjes ai vetëm qate dhe më shtrëngote durt.
And I could see him crying as I was praying, crying and giving signs with his hands.
E kemi marrë me oksigjen në shtëpi, ka qenë shumë e vështirë rruga nga spitali në
He
shtëpi.
came with oxygen at home.
Ai
It
nuk
was
rrite as një minutë pa
difficult
oksigjen.
travel because he would not stay a moment without the oxygen mask.
Edhe në shtëpi filloi të u bë mirë edhe tha du me lexu Biblën.
He started to be well and asked, someone read the Bible to me?
Du mu lut ashtu siç lutesh ti.
And it was funny that at one
Me fjalë
moment,
zemre.
they were having a dinner, together with her Elsa's brothers and the extended family. We were not there, but he was asking, does anyone here know to pray from the heart? He was asking everyone in the table. They are Catholics, and for them it's a traditional that you recitate the prayer.
Edhe kur unë një ditë s'kam qenë aty, nusës vllajt i ka thënë lutu, i ka
So
thënë
he would-
po pyes Elsën se nuk di.
Everyone was saying, no, we don't know what you mean. So he went one by one and he stopped at his daughter-in-law, so one of Elsa's brother's wife, and she was like, I don't know either. And she called Elsa, so what is this prayer with the words from heart that you pray? He's asking us to pray and we don't know this prayer.
Edhe ai ka një ndryshim absolut të plot, edhe shumë i dashur, më përqafon.
God has transformed his life. He can hug me. We have seen he's still living after 12 years.
4 ditë
And
që
God has
mjekët i
changed.
dhanë, tash janë 12 vite dhe ai ka një shëndet stabil.
4 days turned into 12 years and his health is still stable. And they even, this I can add, they even closed the pulmonary mines sector because no one is alive from his generation. And he is still alive.
Yes. Silikoza, është një
Silicose
smundje profesionale
department.
shumë e vështirë,
It's-
ka lësë ngjenje kanceroze.
It's like a glass that creates cancer into the lungs. Silicose department.
So that was caused from the mines. Wow, that's amazing.
Can I say something, one children?
Yes.
We have time.
Yes.
Ajo që du me ju thënë është për Gabrielen, është një fëmijë i lindur në komunitetin egjiptian, edhe kishte lind me një problem në zemër dhe braktisja ishte totale, si nga ana spitalit, si nga komuniteti. Edhe bashkë me një grup studentash kam shku vizitu për me pa gjenjen e
A crazy story. It's about Gabriela. She was born in the gypsy community, but a child that was abandoned, let's say, from the healthcare and from the family and community there. She had a heart disease, but she was left there.
Edhe kur ne kena shku me studentat e kemi gjetë në tokë, e kishte hell gjyshi vetë dhe kishte rraf mamin e fëmisë që pse ti ke lind një fëmijë të smur.
And when we found her, I was with some students in a volunteering project that we had with the church, and the grandfather has been abusive even to Gabriela's mother, because you have given birth a sick child.
Kemi ndërhyrë në një mënyrë urgjente me studentat, i jemi ndonë disa pjesë, një pjesë kanë nejtë aty me ruj bebi, një pjesë kena shku të spitali, polici. Dhe kur kam shku të doktoresha që unë njifsha, i them si është gjendja dhe tha nëse do jetë fëmija jotë, apo fëmija im do jetoje. Është fëmija tyne nuk do jetoje.
And we mobilized and addressed and reported this case in the police and everywhere. And I remember because when I talked to the heart doctor, she would tell us that if it would be our child, she would live. But because it's a child born in the community, in the gypsy community, she will not survive.
Nuk kisha komu mendu gjatë, vetëm qam vitën menje veproshim, kemi nda me kishen, kemi fol me gjithë njohjet private që kishim.
We didn't think much, we just thought, how can we make something out? And we started calling everyone we knew, shared in the church for people to pray.
I kam kërku, sepse reanimacioni e kishin nxjerrë jashtë, gjë e parë i kam kërku drejtorit tim, të lutem, a mund të matë këtë fëmijë vetëm në reanimacion. Më mrapa kena shku në polici, kena thënë, ju lutem dora një pasaport, sa ata nuk kanë dokumentat të shpejt.
So there were some crazy steps that opened doors very quickly. Like for example, we would ask the police that we need a passport because we were preparing to send them
Kujtoj momentin
for a special care outside in Italy. And he says, okay, but it will take few days. And then he says at the same day, come and get the passport, which was very surprising. And then meanwhile, they were having a reanimation in the hospital, and we asked, is it possible? Because if she stays home, she's dead. So they opened it, and usually this is not the case if you are from a gypsy family. They would not open doors for you to get for a specialized health
Në
care.
momentin e parë që kam taku familjen, kanë thënë që mjekët në thënë që do vdesi, ne s'do bëjmë kur gjë, po presim vetëm të vdesi. Pastaj, kur ato kanë pas sa seriozisht ne i kemi dhe jemi vërtet aty për ta, kanë vazhdu duke na ndihmu dhe prindrit, se në fillim nuk donin më ardh që gjanat më
So parents at the beginning thought, okay, she's sick, she will die. But we just wait for that. And we said, no, we don't wait for that, we do something. And then they started, as they were seeing us, they started to be more active, more collaborating, and more optimistic that Gabriela can live.
Aty jam përpjek të ndryshoj mendimin edhe të familja që ti duhet i bash pjesën tënde deri në fund për fëmin, por kam ndryshuar edhe qëndrimin e drejtuesve tanë që këta njerëz duan, dëshirojnë, ëndrrojnë, dinë, kuptojnë, janë inteligjent njësoj si ne.
In a way, for us, it was a double battle, because in one side you had the mentality of the family that you just wait and they have given up, but you need them to raise and to pray and to go with them in the next level where you can, and you will work it out. But also to the leaders in the city that these people have hopes, these people have dreams, these people want to live. If we give them a chance and an opportunity, they want to receive the cares, the services of the system is providing.
Edhe bashkëpunojnë.
And they are collaborative.
Në momentin ku u bë çdo gjë gati, faktikisht ajo na la, ka qenë momenti më i vështirë në jetën time mas besimit, sepse u përfshiva shumë këtë histori.
Because it was so much involvement in this story, I felt like it became a very faith crisis for me. Yeah.
Edhe na duheni ndërhyrje para se të shkonte në Itali me një hershme me fitu kohën e jetës saj. Dhe momentin që spitali në Tiranë më tha po në fakt ajo vdiq. Edhe kam mësu shumë nga kjo histori që kush jemi ne t'i klasifikojmë njerëzit. Edhe ajo humbi vetëm sepse ishte një e komunitetit egjiptian.
And now the procedure for her, for Gabriela, would be she had to unblock some veins in Albania, but the surgery could not be all finished in Albania. She would continue 2-3 more surgeries in Italy. That besides the unblocking, they would have to turn something on the veins of her. And we even find a private hospital who was ready to do the surgery for free, no charge for them, and which was a surprise, a private hospital, and they were making the room ready for her.
Edhe kjo është që t'jemi gati kur Zoti na vendos afër dikujt dhe nuk mund vendosim në kush janë tjerët.
So for us, what we learned is we cannot choose people, to whom we serve. We are called to serve to everyone, and sometimes it's a prejudging that we have behind for some categories of people, like gypsies or other people, that they will not change or they will not do something.
Zoti ka një plan për secilin prej nesh dhe kemi të njëjtën vlerë para tij.
And because God has a plan for each of us, we all also share, are very valuable to His eyes and to His plans.
Në moment, Gabriela nuk është, edhe kjo ishte gjitha e mësimi që unë isha të thonë, në momentin që spitali privat hapi dyert, Gabriela vdiq.
So it was in the moment that the private hospital opened the door, as we were trying to send her to hospital, Gabriela died.
Unë nuk po ndaj si një histori të rishtimi, por si një histori të vërtetë që ne nuk du të rrim indiferent. Po t'ishte ndërhy më herët, Gabriela do ishte.
So I'm not sharing as a sad story, but more as a story of like we need to intervene fast in people's lives and not just wait and wait and wait, because if we would have the chance and a possibility to intervene earlier, she would be alive and she would be safe. But she was just waiting and waiting, and no one was caring for her and her family. Yeah.
Wow. That's heartbreaking. Well, thank you for sharing your stories. We're going to wrap up here. I just want to tell you guys, I can feel your hearts. They are just so caring, so serving. I can just hear it in your voices. I can see it on your faces. I can see your hearts. And wow, I'm tearing up here a little bit. I loved hearing your guys' stories. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much for being here and telling us about what you're doing in Albania. I think it's going to touch a lot of people. It touched me for one. So thank you guys so much for sharing.
Yeah, it's an honor. Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, I think it so impresses me and encourages me, and I get excited to hear just the full testimony. So you didn't share, Dennis, I know you had hoped to maybe share a little bit more about the history of Albania and how it was so closed and so dark for so long. But I think also your testimony, Elsa, in the dropping of the Bibles and receiving the Word of God and, Campus Crusade being there, Samaritan's Purse also, and the way that different organizations rushed in with the gospel message when the country was opened. But not only that, we didn't talk about how long people were praying for Albania. And do you know how many years have you had people tell you? I know that Albania was on the list of unreached people groups because there were 0 Christians as everything was removed.
I have met 2 people directly, and one of them he's a retired pastor who lived in former Yugoslavia, and he told me he prayed from the early 80s, 1980, 1981. They would go every week in the border, lay hands and pray Albania to open up. The next person is I met in Wales a lady who was as a student. She come with a touristic with Open Doors, a mission organization. They come inside into the country and prayed for Albania to be open. This was in 1984, 1985. Wow. So 2 people that I have met them direct, and it's a direct testimony. It's not a story that I have heard from other people. Mm-hmm. So it's one told me they prayed for 10 years, and the other told me she has been praying for 5 years. Wow. Because she experienced how close it was. Mm-hmm. And the people that she met, Moira was her name in Wales. I met her in 2019. She says that the old ladies, people that she met, they were telling her that we feel like in an in a prison here. It's a public prison. Mm-hmm. And she told me they knew we were Christians, and sometimes they would make the sign of the cross hidden. Wow. In a hidden form, and like these signs like pray for us. Wow. As they were going through the country with the bus.
Wow, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Edhe para se kufit hapeshin, shumë misionarë kishin përgatitur Biblat e përkthyme.
So Bible was already translated before Albania opened up in 1991. And yeah. Every literature was already prepared in boxes. As people of faith who would pray, they would make also Bibles ready that when Albania opens, it would enter.
Praise God.
Bibles would enter the country.
That's incredible. And I think it's just so powerful how the 2 of you, I mean, you're from a Muslim background faith and became a believer. The 2 of you came to know Christ, and you're very active across the board in so many different ways in sharing the gospel message with fellow Albanians. You're nationals reaching your own country for Christ, and that is so powerful. And we here at Globe International are thrilled that you have joined us, that you're now part of our family as well. You came in through HarvestNet International, and we met you that way, and we're so happy that you came over to be with us over this last week and complete your training, and now you're Globe missionaries, and we're thrilled to be able to walk with you on that journey. And we would love to, if anybody is listening or watching this podcast and hearing the story and would love to receive your newsletters or support you guys, you're just getting started in raising funds and even getting a newsletter list. So I'll let Lindsay say how they can get in contact with you. Anything you want to say to anybody that might be interested in that?
Yeah, I would just, for me, the biggest thing that we have received from the West is the gospel. We used to be a Christian country, but we lost it, and now it's from the very scratch, the work. And please, the biggest thing that humanity and other countries can receive, it's Christ Himself. Yeah, it's the message of Christ, the message of forgiveness. So, and without this, we cannot have relationships. And without relationships, we are desperate people. So,
Well, thank you guys again for being here. It was such a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much to Globe family, the wonderful people that we met here, people who have suffered in mission for decades and for years, and this is something that other people have run before us, and we can learn from their experience and from their life. So thank you for making us a part of Globe family.
And edhe në qëse një shqiptar në një gjën ose në shef, ju lutëm shkoni këtu në një kishë, keni shumë atletë sa atje,
If an Albanian is listening to us,
ka njerëzit tu, edhe dujeni Krishtin, edhe shkoni në kishas, janë shumë të mira.
yeah, please do not be so busy to not go to church. Find a church and go and start going and enjoy the family, the fellowship, the friendship that you can experience
Nga
in the
familjet e keni
churches.
më atletë këtu.
Maybe it's easier from your family side here because it's more freedom and you can easily go and freely go here.
Thank you guys so much for listening to Crazy Missionary Stories. If you are listening on Spotify, don't forget to follow us and give us a 5-star review. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and of course, share it with your friends. Thank you guys for listening. See you next time.